back to the channel. I massively appreciate everyone's likes, comments and shares from my first video that I uploaded last week. For anyone who missed that, you can check the description below where you'll be able to find out a bit more about me and what my plans are for this YouTube channel. So today we're going to look at how I edit my images before posting to Instagram. Like I mentioned in that first video, I've really struggled to keep to a consistent editing style because I do like to vary my edits and keep mixing it up to keep it interesting. But over the last few weeks I've been developing a preset that I'm going to start using in November 20 so that I have a good start point to develop a kind of a consistent style. I want to see, one, if I enjoy having a more curated Instagram feed, and two, see what the effect is on my Instagram, see if it helps encourage more engagement, because a lot of people out there say you should keep to a certain style and post over a period of time, and that you can help develop your portfolio and get people to recognise your work on the app. So I'm going to try this for the month of November and if it helps me grow my audience at all. So let's get into the edits with a couple of shots that I took from a recent trip to the Lake District at Air Force near Ullswater. So for the first shot we're going to begin with this one from Air Force. It's a little bit further back from the main bridge shot, which we'll show a little bit later. And straight away when I saw this scene I thought this needs to be taken. So what I've done is I've taken two shots, merged them together to create this. And a lot of people might think straight away this looks great, you don't need to really edit this and you would be quite happy to post it. But what I want to do is I want to put my little bit of a style on it, my little bit of an edit to get it to really pop. So what I'll do is a recent preset that I've created is this one. I'm not the best with names, as you can see, Green with Mood, but we'll go with it for now. So as you can see, it's drastically changed the look of it. It's definitely increased the mood, and it goes really well with the recent shot that I posted to my Instagram feed. So what I want to do is, what I like to do is whenever I put a preset, usually I don't have the exposure settings amended, but what I'll do is go back to 0 and then just have a little, just slide it along until I'm happy with it. So I think previously it was 98, which is a bit too much. So I just want to drag that down just a tad. Okay. So I want that quite a contrasty image, but I don't want too much. So I'm just going to bump that up to 10 for now, but we might tweak that again later. So the highlights, I want to be able to see in the water a bit more detail. So I'm going to bring them highlights down. Not too much again. Like I say, I don't go crazy with my edits, but I do want to see a bit more detail in that water. Again, we might tweak that again later. As you can see, the water was really silky with a slow shutter speed of, I'll have to double check, 0.8 seconds there. Okay, so shadows, let's bring that back down. Okay, so I'm going to bring them up a bit just to get a bit more detail so you can see a bit more into them shadows. So again, not too much, but that's looking pretty good. Then whites. I do like it bringing them whites down. I think I'll put that to 20 for now. Again, all these, I like to do initial edit and then I'll go back to it and kind of see if what I want to tweak. So the blacks were down to -19. So as you can see straight away when I put that back to 0, it's a bit more of a faded look. I don't want that with this edit. So I'm going to keep that at -20 to keep that contrast in the shot. Clarity. Again, you don't want to bring that too high up. You can go crazy with the clarity and it just looks awful. It was on 10, which is probably a bit too much for this shot. Dehaze is up to 30. So I'm going to bring that down just a tad. You can see there the difference between the two. Okay, so vibrance is up to 15, which is giving us these punchy colours in the greens and the oranges. 15 again is probably about as far as I go, because again, if you punch that vibrance up, it's going to look really over the top for my taste. That might be your taste, that's fine, but for me, I don't like to go that crazy with the vibrance. I do sometimes like to desaturate the shot and bump the vibrance up. But I think in this one I'll just keep to 0, because again, if you go Yeah, let's just not do that. I do like this muted green look, the kind of moody look with this shot so far. One thing I completely forgot to look at was the white balance. Sometimes you press auto, you can get a really good look to the shot. It was on 5,500. Auto knocks it down to 5,300. Not much of a difference really. I quite like it like that, but again, you can, to your taste, maybe not that much, or go the other way to really make it moody. But for this one, I think I'm quite happy with keeping it at 5,500. It looks really nice. I do like that look to it. Oh, raw feature. Thank you, UK Picture of the Day. Now that's the basic panel done. Let's look at the tone curve. So you can see there's a pretty standard S curve here. So we brought the blacks up a little bit and brought the whites down a little bit. So again, what I'd like to do is just bring it back down. It's a bit too contrasty. I do think that faded black look looks really good. Let's have a look at the whites. Ooh, nope. Don't want that. Let's bring that back and then I'll just tweak that. Okay, and then what I like to do is work my way down the S curve just to kind of see what the adjustments do. But overall, I think the way that I've set this preset up, it works really well. And the Hsl slider, so here I can change the luminance to all the colors. So what I like to do is get it to 0 and just work my way down and just see how each of these affect the shot. So obviously in this image, there's a lot of oranges, there's a lot of greens. They're the ones that are going to make a biggest difference to it. So again, this is just down to personal preference. If you like a bit more of a darker image, you can bring that orange down. Or if you want to pop them oranges a little bit, you bring it up to the plus. And then you just need to try and decide which look you want to go for. I think I'm going to boost them up a little bit. So again, the yellows, there's quite a few yellow parts of this shot. And then greens. Oops. As you can see there, the green, especially here, is really affecting the colours. I do like that just to be a little bit higher there. Okay, the aquas doesn't really change much, and the blues will change a little bit of the water. So you can see, if I zoom in here, see how that luminance is changing the look of that water. What I think I'll do is just bump that up a little bit. Maybe a bit too much there. Drop that down again. And then the purples and the magentas, I don't think there'll be many. No, there's not. So one of the tips I wanted to share with you is with regard to saturation, not saturation. I like to bring it all the way down to 0. Take all the color out of the shot and then slowly work the colors back in. So I know, for example, there's not much purple or magenta in this image. So I'm going to leave them to 0. The blue, you're going to see a little bit of that in the water. For me, I don't like taking blue out of the water completely, but I do like to desaturate. So I'm going to take that down to about -28. Aqua, and just work your way up. So aqua next. Not a whole lot of aqua in there, so I'm going to just keep that at 0. So I do know there's green. So straight away, bringing that back down to 0. You can see that green come into the image, especially in the foreground here. I don't want to go any higher on the saturation of the green. If anything, I'm going to desaturate it, because when you bump the saturation on green, it looks really weird. And I just don't like the way it looks when you oversaturate greens. So I'm going to bring that down to about -20. Keep it looking quite natural. And then the yellows. So again, see what it looks like at 0. I think I'm gonna bump it up just a tad to +10. Nothing too crazy. Now the orange this is when personal taste really does come into play. So if you go really high with the orange, you can really saturate the scene and get them autumn feels, but yeah, again, just not my taste. So I think I'm gonna just knock that saturation back just a little bit. It's looking pretty good. And then the reds, I don't think there's any reds, but I'm gonna just keep that at 0. So looking at that image, that's the start, and that's with the preset and with the corrections made so far. So quite a change. Looking through the shot, there's some parts of it I don't like. So for example, these yellowy bits here, I know it's part of the shot. I might change them, I might not, we'll see. But I just find them a bit distracting. So we might change them, but we'll see how we go on. So working down, we've got our split toner. If you press Option and then go to the balance, you can see how the split tone has taken effect. So for example, in the highlights, it's a kind of a bluey color that I've got in the highlights, but I've obviously brought the saturation right down. And in the shadows, again, we've got a bit of a blue aqua. So what I'm going to do is, if you go one way, it brings in more of the highlights, and the other way brings more of the shadows. So for this one, I think I'm going to go a little bit to the left. Then down to detail, so this is just to sharpen up the image. So what I do is pick a point. What I like to do is work around the 50 mark and then press Option again on the masking and then slide this along, and that in the white is showing what's been sharpened in the image. So obviously if you go all the way to 100, not a lot's getting sharpened. Keep it at 0, everything's getting sharpened. So I'm just going to scroll along. Usually I put it into the 40 to 50 mark, and then you can just toggle that, and you can see here how much sharpening has been applied. So that's worked quite nicely. Lens correction, always remove the chromatic aberration and profile corrections. That's just something I always do. Then effect, what I've got here is a vignette, I think that's how you say it, -25 and a midpoint of 0. So if I put that back to the 50 mark, you can see the scene opens up a little bit, so that vignette is going from quite a central position out to the sides. So what I will do, just bring that back just a little bit to the 15 mark. So that's the 15 mark, and that's 0. I think 15 works quite well, so it doesn't bring it too centrally focus. Then calibration, depending on the shot, but I usually leave that as is. And that's how it's looking from that initial pass on the edit. It's looking pretty good. So like I said before, I like just to go back into the basic panel and just have a last little tweak just to make sure that I'm happy with how it's looking. It is quite a dark and kind of moody look to it. So I'm just going to bump that up just to 1, just see if that helps. Yeah, I think that would work quite well. Happy with the contrast. Don't want that to go too much to the right. It looks really unnatural, a bit weird. So I'll put that back down to 10. Highlights, I want to keep that detail. So again, it's a fine line. So I just want to make sure, well, that does look good when you bring them shadows back. So I think what I'll do is I'll just knock that down just a tad. I know it's a bit picky and it might be a bit looking like it's a bit OCD, but it's just good just to have a final run over and make sure that you're happy with how it's looking. Don't know if you can hear that, but my laptop fan is going crazy, running Lightroom, screen recording and the audio for this, so apologies if you're picking that up. And overall, I think that is pretty good and ready to be exported to Instagram for posting. Okay, so next up. So if I wanted to be really lazy, what I could do is literally go into that first image, and if I wanted to have the exact same edits on this one, just press previous, done. But as you can see, the scene from the Aeroforce bridge is very different to the one here. There's a lot more colour going on in this one, a lot more autumn colours, whereas this one, you're not seeing a whole lot of orange. You're seeing a little bit of green, a little bit of orange up here, but overall it's very muted colours. So I do want to keep it in a similar style. What I'll do is, first of all, just fix the dimensions. So again, I want to crop it to 8x10 for Instagram. And what I always find with Aeroforce with my lens, the 18-135, is I can never quite get it right. I want to keep this bottom section because that's what makes the picture, in my opinion, the water at the bottom here. So I want to make sure I keep that in the frame, but I don't want to crop too much off the top. So I think that's looking okay. And like previously, I've merged a couple of images together, so that's why you're seeing this white line here, because it's a combination of a couple of images. So I'll just bring that in to hide that. Right, I think we're looking pretty good there. Just want to double check. I don't think I cropped on this. Did I crop? Oh, I did. Excellent. Right, so for this one, like I said, there's a lot less color in this shot. So working our way down again through the basic panel. Now we've done them spot removals. I'm pretty happy with that to go onto the Instagram page. So there's a couple of examples of some types of images I'm going to be posting over the next month with the type of edit that I want to keep that consistent feel to it. I'll be posting a video early to mid-December, just before the Christmas break, to see what I found from doing this type of edit over the month and what kind of effect it's had on my Instagram engagement, likes, reach, that kind of thing. If you enjoyed seeing how I put these images together, it'd be great if you hit that like button and subscribed. Apparently it helps. And if you have any questions about how I edited these, then do drop a comment below. That'd be great. So a little update. I said in that first video I uploaded to the channel that my aim was to get to 10 subscribers by the end of the year. We're already at 12, so anything more than this now until the end of the year is a massive bonus. So that's great, thanks. See you in the next one.